Welcome to the 5th episode of our Exodus series. Imagine you have been invited to the best party in the world. It is going to be brilliant. For weeks you have been thinking about it. Finally, the day comes. You wake up early and are very excited. Only a few hours to go, then you'll be there. Whilst getting ready, your mum gets a phone call. It's not good. The party has been cancelled. How do you feel? Maybe a bit sad. Probably very disappointed. Some of you might even get a bit angry. The party would have been brilliant, but now it's all ruined. Moses knew this feeling very well. In our story this week, we'll hear what happened to him. Remember where we left off the story last time. Moses had some really good news to take back to God's people. Yahweh had seen they were having a hard time. He had heard their cries, and now he had come down to rescue them out of Egypt. Moses was worried about whether God's people would listen, but they did listen. Now Moses is going to do his job. He is off to meet Pharaoh, but he is about to learn a very important lesson. It's this: Yahweh's timing is best. Yahweh sometimes waits to act. This is what Moses is about to learn. Listen to what happens next. I'm going to read from Exodus chapter 5, verses 1 to 2. Afterward, Moses and Aaron went to Pharaoh and said, "This is what Yahweh, the God of Israel, says. Let my people go, so that they may hold a festival to me in the wilderness." Pharaoh said, "Who is this Yahweh, that I should obey him and let Israel go? I do not know Yahweh, and I will not let Israel go." This is shocking. Pharaoh has heard Yahweh's command. Yahweh says, "Let my people go." But Pharaoh asks a question. This isn't a nice question. It's likely Pharaoh said it in a snarly and angry voice. It's like Pharaoh says, "Who is Yahweh? I don't know Yahweh. Why should I do what he says? I am the one in charge of this land." This is a new Pharaoh to chapter 1, but his attitude is the same. Pharaoh decides to make life even harder for God's people, the Israelites. They are already slaves, but now it gets even worse for them. Listen to what it says in the Bible. This is Exodus chapter 5, verses 4 to 5. But the king of Egypt says, "Moses and Aaron, why are you taking the people away from their labor? Get back to your work." Then Pharaoh said, "Look, the people of the land are now numerous, and you are stopping them from working." Hear that? Pharaoh orders Moses and Aaron, "Get back to your work." Pharaoh is angry. Listen to what he says to the slave drivers. The slave drivers are the people in charge of the Israelites' work. This is chapter 5, verses 6 to 9. That same day, Pharaoh gave this order to the slave drivers and overseers in charge of the people. "You are no longer to supply the people with straw for making bricks. Let them go and gather their own straw. But require them to make the same number of bricks as before. Don't reduce the quota. They are lazy. That is why they are crying out, 'Let us go and sacrifice to our God.' Make the work harder for the people, so that they keep working and pay no attention to lies." Hear that? They're lazy. That's what Pharaoh thinks about the Israelites. They're not working hard enough. So Pharaoh says they have to collect all their own straw to make the bricks, but they still have to make the same number of bricks as before. That's really hard. That's probably impossible. Listen to what happens next. This is chapter 5, verses 10 to 14. Then the slave drivers and the overseers went out and said to the people, "This is what Pharaoh says. I will not give you any more straw. Go and get your own straw wherever you can find it, but your work will not be reduced at all." So the people scattered all over Egypt to gather stubble to use for straw. The slave drivers kept pressing them, saying, "Complete the work required of you for each day, just as when you had straw." And Pharaoh's slave drivers beat the Israelite overseers they had appointed, demanding, "Why haven't you met your quota of bricks yesterday or today, as before?" This all sounds terrible. This wasn't God's plan, was it? Everyone thought Yahweh was with them. He had come to rescue them. Moses was going to lead them out of Egypt. What's going on? It's getting harder and harder in Egypt. So the leaders of Israel complained to Moses. They are not happy with him at all. "You've made trouble for us," they say. Then Moses complains to God. Listen to what he says. This is Exodus chapter 5, verses 22 to 23. Moses returned to Yahweh and said, "Why, Lord, have you brought trouble on this people? Is that why you sent me? Ever since I went to Pharaoh to speak in your name, he has brought trouble on this people, and you have not rescued your people at all." This wasn't the plan, was it? Yahweh was supposed to rescue them. Why has it got even harder? Has Pharaoh won already? Has Yahweh lost already? That's what it seems like. But no, it's not true. Pharaoh has not won. Yahweh has not lost. Listen to what Yahweh says to Moses next. "Now you will see what I will do to Pharaoh. Because of my mighty hand, he will let them go. Because of my mighty hand, he will drive them out of his country." Yahweh will save his people. He has promised to rescue them, and he will do what he has promised to do. It hasn't all gone wrong. Instead, Yahweh is teaching his people a very important lesson. Yahweh's timing is best. He doesn't do everything straight away. Yahweh does everything at just the right time. Moses has to be patient. The Israelites have to be patient too. Moses and the Israelites don't understand why Yahweh delayed his rescue, but they did come to learn that God will do what he promises. God will always save his people. Yahweh's timing is still the best today. Yahweh still takes his time with some things. He promises to Christians that he will save them from his judgment and take them to the new creation. At the end of time, God will make a whole new world, like this one, but so much better. When we turn from sin and trust in Jesus, this promise is for us too. The new creation will be wonderful. But we're not there yet. Life in this world can be hard, just like life in Egypt was hard for the Israelites. It can feel like everyone is against Christians. It's easy to get disappointed with Yahweh. It's easy to want Yahweh to take us to the new creation right now. But we must remember that Yahweh's timing is best. Yahweh has not forgotten us. Yahweh will do what he has promised. He will save his people from his judgment and take them to the new creation. We won't always know why Yahweh has delayed his promise, but Yahweh has promised the new creation, although he might not bring it straight away. Yahweh will take us to be with him at just the right time. Yahweh's timing is best. We can trust him.